Come on, Dota. There it is. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Summit SA Qualifiers. We're back, and we got Sacred going up against paiN Gaming. Game 2 of the best of 3. This is, I guess, the winner's match of the day. I'm Mike Loris, going to be joined by MRP Dota for this second game. Dude, Sacred looking fierce. This is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. It definitely feels like pretty much across the board, Sacred were just a notch above paiN.
Yeah, it felt like their strategy was a little bit better formed at kind of the onset of the game. I think particularly the best thing we saw from them was just the shot calling in that game. I don't think execution-wise that paiN played that poorly, but, you know, as you touched upon in the game, you need to be taking objectives off the back of every one team fight with a lineup like they had that is so geared towards team fight. And, you know, just one fight going awry in the top lane and paiN seeking to look kind of scattered thereafter. So really nice by Sacred to be able to punch them.
Got a Beastmaster first pick from the paiN Gaming side. I don't think this hero was banned in the last game. May have been early on that I just don't remember. But at any rate, Beastmaster does let you do very similar things to what we saw paiN try to do in the last game. Of course, that's the Inner Beast aura and the fact that you make a whole bunch of dudes with a random neutral now. You can do some pretty obnoxious things with the Beastmaster for paiN Gaming. It is slightly concerning because Beastmaster does tend to lend himself to, again, similar strategies to what we saw paiN try to do in the last game, and I kind of want to see them do something a little bit different, but Beastmaster is, I think, a force to be reckoned with. That change to Call of the Wild is pretty silly.
Yeah, I mean, altogether, I've always felt that the hero is relatively strong. Also, the Primal Roar rush is pretty crazy. So I definitely feel like the hero is strong and then has some untapped potential. So we'll see how teams continue to sort of utilize him going forward. But it was a hero that was banned in the first phase last game. So letting it slip through here, and paiN will pick it up. Jakiro is the hero we've been seeing a lot of recently. Kind of gives you a bit of everything. He's, you know, sort of a lane dominating support, is a little bit stagnant in kind of his mobility. But also gives you the ability to pressure the tower relatively early on and quite a bit of magic damage with a bit of disable available to him through the ice path. So a very good all-around early pick.
If you are expecting to be kind of sieged by a Beastmaster or a very aggressive tower pushing strat, Liquid Fire to pull off the creep wave or Macro Pyre to just barbecue the entire lane, certainly very nice, and it's certainly a very unique effect that not many supports have. Like, supports sometimes have lane clearing, but they won't be able to just drop a spell from like 2,000 range away and then just be okay with the fact that, yeah, we're clear, we killed off the creep wave, they have to wait another 10-15 seconds for another one to come by. Is certainly a nice hero to save as well, probably not in like the traditional sense of like a Dazzle or an Oracle, but Ice Path and just the effective range of this hero. You can do a lot of things when your one friend is going to be picked out by a Roar. Just throw an Ice Path on top of him. Beastmaster suddenly can't do anything. So the hero definitely, as you said, is a little bit of everything. Though the fact that they picked up Jakiro and then waited this long for their second pick is a little bit concerning. They'll go Jakiro Rubik, so this looks like maybe Jakiro getting a little bit of extra farm in this game.
Yeah, definitely could be in a core role. And in fact, I would say that's more likely than this being the support duo, just because of the fact that it's not a very high impact support duo early game as far as their roam potential, and could leave their mid lane a little bit vulnerable. If they pick up something like the Puck for Leo style again, maybe he can fare just fine without too much attention being thrown his way, but still a little bit concerning. However, in their own lane, you know, where the Rubik and Jakiro are present, they definitely do have some kill potential. A lot of slow early on, a good amount of damage. And of course, that instant cast point telekinesis is always of high value early into the game.
Something we saw last game with the Rubik was that he picked up prioritization on his aura second. He only had 1 point telekinesis, went maxed out Fade Bolt, maxed out aura, kept it on the offensive version the entire time. That can make you do, if you have enough magic damage on the team, a disgusting amount. Jakiro, as a core, as a support, will do a lot of damage with that. Last game we saw Puck and Luna take a large advantage of that, so gotta remember that this Rubik, kind of just by staying in the fight, in the area, is going to provide the team with a lot of offensive power from their magic casts. But though, for paiN, they'll grab a Silencer with the Beastmaster. And got to lock down these spellcasters, and I like Silencer as well for kind of similar reasons to Jakiro, is that he does a little bit of everything, but mostly is that you don't know how much farm the Silencer is getting. You don't know if he's going to be playing as a support or going towards mid. We have seen it all recently, so paiN Gaming definitely have a pick here that has quite a few options and may keep Sacred guessing.
I felt like there was an interesting change to Silencer in the patch, but it's slipping my mind at the moment. Regardless, I expect him to be in the support role here for paiN. But as you mentioned, there is some variability there, although maybe not as scary him switching into the core role as some of the other flex picks. But certainly leaves it a little bit open, can just kind of ruin the chain of initiation. Jakiro, a very clunky hero in the way that he controls team fights, so Global Silence a really nice tool to have against him.
Luna, Anti-Mage, we banned down. I mean, Anti-Mage is kind of the premier kind of late game hero that we see nowadays. A couple of teams experimenting with Medusa. I think it's just not working at all. I haven't seen it work a single time, so I don't know, but kind of pulling in separate directions with these cores from Sacred. Beastmaster, as far as the hero is concerned, definitely one that can get you an early edge to buy space for someone like an Anti-Mage, but if you are looking to end the game early, you kind of have to be scared of these Luna type heroes, these Terrorblade type heroes, these cores that just by getting a little bit of gold can go in for a lot of damage onto your structures. Sacred will kind of try to protect all their bases, but it kind of feels like end up protecting neither of them. For paiN, though, they will take out the Clockwork. Was a big problem before, and will also take out a Kunkka, which not really sure if that was a super high likelihood of being picked up in this particular game, but hey, you're working with the Rubik, you're working with, again, a lot of magic damage combos. Just by virtue of what the Kunkka does, I can appreciate the ban here from paiN.
Still, though, interesting into the Silencer. Silencer seems like a very good way to deal with Kunkka. He's, a long-winded kind of initiator. In fact, I would say more effective as a counter initiator than one to open fight. He's a counter initiator and a ganking hero rather than kind of a five-man team fight hero, or at least most effective in those other two roles. But interesting enough, I guess they just don't want to face up against Rubik Kunkka early on. Mirana, fairly stable pick despite the agility nerfs coming out to her recently. Still has proven to be very effective. And with both Rubik and Jakiro, it should be rather easy for her to get her spells off. Senki going to be picked up by paiN. I was talking about the Silencer changes before. You can get that +2 extra int steal at level 15 and can get the 20% Glaives of Wisdom damage at level 25 or 2 extra seconds on the global. So just the talents really, slight nerf to the Glaives of Wisdom damage before you add those talents.
paiN get the Sand King, which is one of the few remaining, at least kind of traditional 4-position heroes. I don't think we've seen many SA teams deal with the Chens and Enchantresses of this game, so I'm not really sure what Sacred are going to do to round out their supporting crew. There's a chance it might be Rubik Jakiro. I don't think either of us are really huge fans of that, but paiN now, a lot of stun combos, a decent amount of team fight, but initiation galore. Definitely enough power to answer mobile heroes like the Puck and like the Mirana. Gotta make sure you're able to get on top of the Mirana before she gets those triple leaps out. And of course, the Puck is elusive as always. So paiN do have quite a few answers here. It seems like for Sacred, I don't really know what their draft is supposed to do. Like, they will do a good amount of mixed damage in the mid game, I suppose, but it's not like a super aggressive timing push. It's not overwhelmingly powerful in the late game. Is there any way they kind of finagle a Drow into this and make this an aggressive draft?
Yeah, it's definitely a pick they were looking at, and the one that I had in mind. It solves all their issues as far as siege and taking Roche go. Also just buffs up every hero on their lineup, as you mentioned. But other than that, you said you didn't kind of know what their draft was doing. I think that's the point thus far. I don't know as well, but they can put Mirana, have Mirana roaming around with the Puck in the mid and maybe give the Jakiro a core role. I also think there's a pretty high potential for them to go aggressive here. Jakiro, one of the better aggressive tri-lane heroes, how tanky he is and how much damage he can output early on. So I was going to say pending the pick of paiN Gaming safe laner, they might look to go aggressive, but Lifestealer fairly resilient to what they have to offer. So maybe they backtrack a little bit on that approach. Ember Spirit's going to be the ban coming out from Sacred. Don't want to give The Lifestealer Vessel is also a very mobile hero that can join up with Beastmaster and Sand King to fight, and benefits greatly from having a Global Silence to cover him.
5 seconds remaining.
Storm still in the pool is going to do very similar things versus the Sacred heroes, very similar things with the Lifestealer on the paiN Gaming side, but is a hero that's Sacred. I guess maybe they figure, hey, we can kind of answer him a little bit better in lane, just by virtue of having just advantageous matchups. Storm has, as far as mid laners are concerned, probably some of the most numerically bad matchups in the game. And that does make grammatical sense. Shut up. paiN will pick up a Tinker as their last pick, expecting some sort of aggressive push. Tinker is not a Lifestealer hero. That is just not what he does, but paiN are really, really well-rounded. They have a lot of global power. They have Tinker with Beastmaster, which is, of course, extremely silly for just mobility reasons, ganking power. The Juggernaut is banned out. Do Sacred still dare pick up the Drow? Otherwise, they need to pivot pretty hard here. And up against a Tinker and a Lifestealer for late game, it's really hard to turn this into a super aggressive draft with anyone but the Drow, it seems. Show it to me. Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely the anti-Tinker hero. Does make them a little bit more slow-paced. Matthew and Masoku are, so it is going to be a Jakiro Rubik tandem, and they're just going to look to lock down Benjaz's early game, secure it, get an early tower for them, maybe get themselves a little bit of an influx of gold there. But I definitely feel like paiN has done a much more respectable job putting together their draft here. Tinker can stall the game out. Lifestealer, Beastmaster, Sand King trio with a global potentially on top of them are more than enough. That's required to create space for that Tinker as well. Sacred definitely have ways to jump on top of him with the Puck and the Spectre. But I think a lot of this is going to come down to, you know, as we see so often in the recent couple of patches, the lanes and how they shake down.
Really quickly looking at some of the Spectre changes, a tweak here and there, but it doesn't really look like she got anything that's truly game breaking, at least for smoothing out her early game, which is always the problem for Spectre. It's I'm going to kill everyone late, but how the hell do I get there? So yeah, just picking up this hero is certainly going to have good matchups when it does get to the later stages, but going into a Beastmaster, going into a Lifestealer, one of the more early game oriented carries in the game as a Spectre is going to be a little bit difficult. They are going to set up for an offensive try line. I was going to mention this, except with the Mirana, not the Spectre. This is going to be very interesting from the Sacred side to see how well the Spectre fares on this top lane. Maybe paiN are going to get a little bit in their head what is Tekka talking about, but I can't imagine that the Lifestealer lane is going to do worse than the Spectre lane, although it is very, very likely that I am underestimating the power of a Spectre. Or they could swap up with these TP skills they have.
They could just be anticipating the aggressive tri lane from paiN side, having the Lifestealer, you know, being a relatively self-sufficient hero. You know, 1v1 against Jakiro or Mirana, whoever they expected, he should be fare just fine. Wow. King Tekka, yeah, he's able to pop the smoke, but he may still just walk into his death here. King RD, though, pretty far away. Can he get in range for a burrow? It is that level 1 burrow strike and very short range. And Mirana is able to make it out. This does tip the lanes, though, to paiN's side. We mentioned the potential for aggressive, though, with the Rubik Jakiro. Nullfield early on definitely fares nicely. And Jakiro, just one of the tankiest supports in the game, has a lot of damage output as well early on. So we'll see if they're able to pressure. But it looks like already the reaction from paiN is to swap it up.
The battle begins.
Just quickly searching through these heroes, see if there's anything really weird going on with their items. It doesn't really seem like there is, so yeah, it's just going to be a Puck going towards the mid lane. Tekka is going to be going up north. They're making a supremely slow rotation towards this bottom lane. Matthew is maybe going to be able to dive past top and go for a courier now. He's going to respect the Beastmaster. No way. Did he just do that? What? How the hell did he dodge the Beastmaster there? That was actually insane. They had to have seen him, though, right? Because the courier... Okay, the courier should be okay here. But Matthew still is wrapping around Masha. Leo Style already getting in there with a couple of right clicks. They'll drop him down to the low ground. Masha is going to get now hit with the Ice Path with right clicks from 2 heroes. Does get a laser out, but another orb through. Masha will sidestep that one. Jakiro now getting in there with a couple of right clicks. Masha will Fairy Fire and will survive. Albeit just barely. That is not an expected move up against a Jakiro Rubik duo to be ganked like that.
Yeah, I feel like that's a huge win for the Tinker, and most specifically because Ice Path was skilled up level 1 by the Chikiro, which hurts his early game immensely. He's not going to be a threat in any of these lanes, basically. And already you see him rotate down to bottom. Duster, he's going to immediately go for him with the Curse Slow. They get the Ice Path off, but the Burrow should be there for King RD. If he chooses to expend it, they're just going to try and right-click him. It'll force out the telekinesis. Now they'll turn their attention towards Matthew. But all the meanwhile, Spectre for Benjaz, I mean, we talked about the Luna last game who had a wonderful time. He's got 1 CS in this lane, so life is hard.
If only there was some sort of early game damage reduction item he could pick up, or some item that helps him farm the jungle. Would be really nice for a Spectre. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. Now that the tri-lanes are going to converge, and you're right, the Ice Path pickup of the Jakiro is pretty much going to do nothing, whereas ordinarily at this point, he'd just be spamming dual breaths with the Clarity backup behind him, and just trying to get as much chip damage as he can. At this point, he can do nothing but right-click, and that's not exactly impressive. So HFN is looking at an absolute free farm off lane with the Life Stealer here, and Benjaz will have to try desperately to get any farm he can get. In the meantime, top lane, Tavo is going to go up against this Mirana, and Beastmaster should be having a pretty decent time here as well. Masoku taking a lot of damage on this bottom lane, but the Sand King a little bit too far. It does have a haste rune, but he's getting body blocked by his buddies. Is now going to go in for the Burrow Strike. Can't find Masoku just yet. King RD is going to wander in and then scuttle away with the haste rune. So very close to getting that first blood. Masoku doesn't have any more regen, so he has to be really careful here, but I think they all should be fine. But the Dire... Oh my god, never mind. Leo Styles actually dumpstering this Tinker. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I guess just the early pressure, he was able to get a little bit of an advantage there and having a great time. But, you know,
he's gonna kill Masha.
I guess so.
He just killed him.
Talked about putting Leo Style back on the puck. Seems like a good strategy for Sacred side. Still, though, we're seeing the ineffectiveness of this Jakiro, and it's rather concerning. He just does now pick up that level 2, but they're just able to jump on him knowing that he has Ice Path only. And, you know, the more concerning thing is not the ineffectiveness of the Jakiro, but what implications that has towards the Spectre. And we all know that Benjaz, you know, he has some potential to come back using the Haunt. But it's kind of... you know, the quintessential way to counter a Spectre is just to make his early game a living hell. And them, you know, failing the gank attempt despite Leo Style having such a good time in this lane thereafter has really hurt the Spectre early on.
Well, as far as setting up for that Haunt, having cores of Puck and the Mirana in the side lanes are close to ideal for Benjaz, because you randomly throw out a coil, you have an opportunity to Haunt in. If you are able to tag a Beastmaster with an arrow, you can Haunt in and get a kill. Of course, these are not super easy, but these are possibilities. Tekka's actually going to straight kill Tavo. How are they just straight killing people? Oh, he's going to cancel his right click. Tavo is going to grab the rune. Oh, Tekka messed up.
He has a leap charge left, but no mana. So unfortunate. But yeah, and we're just seeing the skill level of these Sacred players on this side. Unfortunately for King Tekka, he doesn't get the kill. Meanwhile, bottom lane, open wounds, and the curse out onto Benjaz. They've got the last word there as well. He gets the dagger off, though. Gonna try and juke through the tree. Still has the Curse of the Silent on him. Doesn't look like it'll be enough to kill him. Or Arcane Curse, I should call it.
Chug down all his restoratives. I mean, getting back in the game with Haunt is all well and good, but Haunt is still a long ways away. He's only level 3. Going up against the level 4 Life Stealer. Sand King is pushing that also valuable level 2 in the Burrow Strike. Once he has that, he might actually land a Burrow Strike in this lane at some point. But yeah, this is certainly a lane on lockdown here for paiN. The Rubik is going to roam out, look for an angle on the Beastmaster. That's only an illusion. Will actually force 1 TP, and that was canceled, so now they have free access to go in. Tekka this time has quite a bit of mana. Starstorm is being held, will leap forward once. Starstorm double shot onto Tava, will get the kill. And Matthew jebaited them so hard with that illusion rune.
Yeah, I mean, the other lanes are definitely going well for Sacred. And Leo Style having his way with the mid lane. It's almost double the CS of the Tinker. And does have near 10 denies at this point as well. So definitely getting things done elsewhere. And it looks like Sacred, you know, kind of similarly to game 1, you know, they knew that at some point Benjaz's Luna would come online for them. And as long as they were able to create enough space, kind of felt comfortable in that fact. So we'll see if they can find solace in it in this second game. But benJaz, I mean, this is a start that is a complete mirror of his game 1 beginning.
Wait, so take a quick look at Desolate and the new Vision swing.
Yeah.
If you haunt, Tinker's just boned, right? Because he has no vision and he's always all alone. Like, he can't even cast spells into a fight because he doesn't have any vision.
Yeah.
Is that actually just ridiculously broken versus Tinker?
It's definitely a very good counter, even though she already was one. But, I mean, Spectre needed the buff, we'll be honest.
Speaking of, Tinker was able to just get out of range of that coil. You can tell Leo Style is itching for it. If they're able to get Leo Style accelerated in this game, we've seen Pucks time and time again just take control over the game, just be everywhere at once. Here he already has that TP scroll ready to go, but as you said, benJaz is going to hit with the Burrow Strike. Open Wounds is going to follow up. benJaz immediately teleports out with the Moonlight Shadow. Will survive, albeit just barely. Never mind. Duster actually does take him out elsewhere, but Leo Style comes in now with the coil, jumps for the silence onto the silencer. King RD lands another Burrow Strike onto 2, which is really nice, but it won't save him, and they don't have any detection here, so they can't even kill off this Rubik. HFN is going to rage and just walk it off. He will get out. They do end up taking the Spectre down, but all the way in the base means no experience, and that turnaround is going to give Puck that much-needed acceleration that I was just literally talking about.
Yeah, Masha does find some time in the mid lane where he was struggling a little bit, but immediately back towards mid will go the Spectre, in fact, try and pick up some farm and levels. So maybe this gives her effectively a bit of space. But yeah, unfortunate, the Caustic Explosion and the Arcane Curse combination do end up killing her off in base. But really heads up play by benJaz, almost surviving there to TP out.
Soku now left alone on this bottom lane can do a lot more from range than a Spectre, that's for sure, although I don't expect him to get much in the way of CS. Jakiro getting a handful of levels, getting a little bit extra in that dual breath, certainly make the difference. And they're going to try to dive him. Masoku is going to walk right into them. Maybe trying to juke or something, is probably going to die regardless of what he did there. But it will be a very easy kill for paiN to take on this bottom lane. Silencer now at 4 intelligence. Not terrible considering an offensive tri-lane with such few kills.
Yeah, nice for the Silencer to have, but certainly nothing that Sacred is going to be.
This is the ganking Spectre of Legend. They are going to try to go for Masha in the mid lane. benJaz taking a lot of damage, though. Leo Style's dishing just a little bit more. They'll take down the Tinker, and benJaz still has that phase effect, so he can get down to the low ground, but I think should die to these dots and will die to Duster once again. I mean, they have the element of surprise, that's for damn sure. In the meantime, top lane, they're actually pushing down this top tier 1 tower, so yeah, Sacred are trying to make the best out of a very poor situation with the Spectre, and ultimately, they're holding even. Now, you don't want to be even as Spectre. You don't want to be in the middle of this net worth chart or like close to the bottom, but they're performing pretty admirably.
Yeah. They've done a good job kind of distributing their resources. King Tekka may be able to just kind of assume the 1 position role temporarily. He's got 51 CS in the top lane. The Beastmaster kind of abandoned here for Tavo, trying to help the mid lane, trying to jungle a bit, and Mirana for that has been farming very nicely. She's actually level 9, highest in the game as well. So that kill they were able to net with the help of Masoku's Rubik, also propelling her up that experience graph.
Style gunning for that Blink Dagger first this time is not going to take any greedy alternatives going for Veil into Hand of Midas Blink. Certainly not in this game when your Spectre's having such a tough time. They are going to Moonlight Shadow for Tavo up towards top lane, but I think Tavo sees this coming or smells it coming. He's a Beastmaster. I assume he has a pretty good sense of smell, and maybe they just see Leo Style fade out in the bottom lane. So either way, no one is going to die here, but Beastmaster level 7 can pack quite a wallop right now as well, despite being behind versus the Mirana. A rotation from the Beastmaster can very easily net them kills if he's actually willing to move about right now. It doesn't seem like Tavo has any interest in doing that.
Pushing in towards the bottom lane, HFN's Lifestealer, who's had a good time as well, sitting up at about parity with the Mirana and the Puck in this early game, and he has been off in the off lane, so definitely has done well for himself. And he'll pick up the tower lasted, excuse me here. Does use the Infest though, under Vision, but I mean Spectre just now picking up level 6 for the Haunt. Leo Style continuing to push into this mid lane, doesn't feel threatened very much.
tower has
Benjez
fallen.
stuck to just hide in the trees, is looking for a haunt to get himself out of these trees. And it'll be looking towards top lane where Tavo is going to get jumped in on. Starstorm's going to do quite a bit of damage. Oh, but he summons a centaur! That was all skill from Tavo. No luck involved there whatsoever to land that double stun. And he will actually get himself out of there. King RD will get stalled up by Matthew, who was also a little bit late to the party. Fade Bolt doing quite a bit of damage to Tavo.
Oh,
Ultimately, bottom lane Masoku now being dove by HFN. Will land an Ice Path onto the Silencer. Dual Breath is there as well, but HFN is going to shrug all that off. He does have a TP, but has no Rage to go with it. I don't think Matthew and Tekka can actually kill off either of these two heroes, so another dive, another success, and whoa, speaking of dive and success, Leo Style does cap off that Beastmaster kill on top lane.
Yeah, unfortunately for King Tekka, he just didn't have the mana to pursue forward on the lifesteal who had already expended Rage. But keep him from pushing into the tower for free, buy a little bit of space for Benjaz, and Leo Style does end up, as you mentioned, finishing off that Beastmaster. Still though, Tinker starting to recover in towards that mid lane, finding himself a little bit of space. Still about halfway to his boots of travel at this point.
Looks like Leo Style did divert into that Veil. And I think in this game, going for Midas is probably a mistake. But I'm sure Leo Style knows more about Puck than I do. That is a fact for sure. Still is able to dish out quite a bit of extra magic damage. We see in this game, Rubik, level 6. Currently has no points in that null field, so isn't looking for any additional magic damage. They will find Angle and Spectre up towards top. With the Centaur there, with the Epicenter, will take a free kill for now, but the jump in and Leo Style's damage is intense. Has another coil in just 1 second, and it'll be perfectly placed that King RD kills himself against the coil. Not sure how planned that was, but that worked out pretty darn well for the Puck, but still, losing the Spectre for these kills on the Puck is extremely costly, because ideally, you want to have the Puck get kills and the Spectre be farming elsewhere. But he's not. He's not getting anything, this Spectre.
Yeah, unfortunately, Leo Style has been playing a bit more of a reactive role than a proactive one. He gets open wounds up in the mid lane. Masoku has the Ice Path behind him. He's got the phase shift, so not feeling too threatened as HFN rotates in towards that mid lane. Matthew now rotating around, getting down some deep vision for his squad. And it doesn't seem like he was spotted, it being nighttime.
Oh, Benjez.
A lot of vision for the Radiant.
There's no Roar top lane. There's no Epicenter, but there is a Troll Net. If they can Burrow Strike, it is just going to land. TP is coming in. They desperately need to save this Spectre. Will dagger into the trees, jump in, Starstorm. Will get the kill on the Sand King. Maybe Tekka with these extra leaps, and the arrow to land will actually kill off Tabo as well. Though they do lose the Rubik elsewhere. HFN looks like he was able to get that one by himself. Who died first on this top lane? Tabo kills off Benjez, and then Tekka gets the kill. So Benjez doesn't get Jack once again. Poor Spectre.
They are spending a lot of resources, though, to keep him down. And like I said, the Mirana has kind of assumed the 1 position because of it. She's lurking on a Yasha after Treads, Aquila, Wand, and Dragonlance sitting atop the net worth chart. Still, though, the 3 cores of paiN Gaming with, you know, admirable enough farm that it's definitely worth all the attention they're paying towards Benjaz. Speaking of Benjaz, he haunts up towards the top lane. They have the lift from the Rubik. King Tekka is low, though. He could be in a little bit of trouble. Gets the leap off. Right click will follow. And they kill off the Tinker before Mirana going down with a stat-heavy build on King Tekka. He will survive.
A little bit close for comfort there, but still a kill's a kill, and on the Tinker, no less, is substantial. No global silence to save the Tinker there, and though he does have the travels, doesn't quite yet have the blink to kind of guarantee his safety with the blink into the trees travel out. So it is going to be a nice little win there for the Sacred side, but still they have to deal with Tavo. Book level 1 is up. Of course, he got his Goon Squad here. Level 3 Aura. Leo Style is under cover of Invis, Moonlight Shadow, and he will pop the Creep Wave. HFN still sticking around. We got Tekka circling from the side. Has eyes on Tavo, although he's in a lot of trouble. Gets roared and global silence with Tinker coming in. I don't think enough leaps in the world can save this Mirana. She will go down. Missiles will chase down after Matthew, who's still rearmed. Not exactly ideal. And they will kill off the Mirana. A little bit of a win here for paiN Gaming, but did cost them a lot of their big ultimates. So let's see what Sacred can do elsewhere. They'll take a tower in mid for the tower on bottom lane. I don't think Matthew can actually hold this, but man, this doesn't seem like it's quite worth it for paiN.
I don't know. That was a very, very odd play from King Tekka. I'm not sure what he felt he was going to do with the Moonlight Shadow expiring there. And he doesn't really open a fight on his own. There's no, you know, reliable disable coming out from this Mirana. He was worth the most in the game at the time. Being right underneath the tower, feeding the highest value hero and losing a tower right then seemed very, very detrimental to what Sacred wants to do in this game. They then end up losing the Jakiro mid lane as well. And right underneath the tower is paiN once again.
Well, yeah, turning that one tower into a couple more. Just constantly using this attack speed and the Goon Squad of the Beastmaster. That's what they got to do. Or, I don't think they have to do it, but hey, there's no reason not to do it. Tekka's using all these leaps. Doesn't have another one for another 20. And the Siege is going to commence for real, although the magic damage from the puck is substantial. There's absolutely no follow-up. Spectre still 30 seconds off of her ult. The Mirana doesn't have a leap in to get into a better position for an arrow. Looks like it was pitched out, but it missed, I guess.
Yeah, it did. Trying to hit HFN there off the initiation from Leo style, but just was a bit short. So underneath the ward right now, they're going to smoke.
Well, they got King RD in their sights up towards top lane. Telekinesis, there's a dagger, and King RD, oh, so close to that blink. He's going to burrow strike through the trees, but of course benjaz is the perfect hero to kind of deal with that. Phases right through, gets the kill, and delays the blink dagger on the Sand King by just a little bit. And now the jump with the Veils, huge magic damage onto the Lifestealer. Armlet toggle will not save him. There was silence the entire time, so he couldn't rage out. There was no creeps to invest into. Sacred now get two kind of nice kills, and paiN, it does seem like they really want to be in that position we just saw in that mid lane where they're able to just constantly siege in, but not able to stay there for prolonged periods of time.
Felt like, you know, just after we see the previous mistake from King Tekka, we see one from HFN. I mean, the three heroes of Sacred smoke under a ward here in the mid lane, and just a moment ago they kill off the Sand King, and he's just caught farming the small camp over in the north side of the map. So really felt like an odd position for him to be in after King Tekka trying to open that fight bottom lane and paying for it. So both teams kind of trading pleasantries here, and a nice little set of happenstances for Sacred side.
benjaz is still not exactly where he wants to be, though he is going for the item that will get him to where he wants to be in that Radiance. It is a long ways away, and given the track record so far in this game, it is going to be a tough climb, but level 2 Haunt Spectre can start doing some decent damage. On the other end, paiN, the Blink Dagger should be up on Masha, and it is. Blink Dagger is also available for King RD. With the Global Silence up as well, it is time for them to hit the gas as much as they can, play as fast as they can. Does still feel like paiN, despite how great their late game is, have such a large opportunity here that sitting back and farming is like such an easy way to end up putting themselves at unnecessary amounts of risk. They'll set up March upon March in the mid lane, and this tier 1 tower should be pretty easily taken down.
Definitely agree that they have to continue to keep the pressure ramped up. They did stop off for the Midas on HFN's Lifestealer. Maybe would have liked to see him out of a Desolator to ramp this push up, but perhaps, you know, taking it for granted that they already pretty much eliminated the towers in the safe lane. He feels that he has the wiggle room essentially to go for the Midas, and he's going to have the Desolator shortly with that pickup in the tower in the mid lane.
paiN can also very quickly Roche in this game. I mean, Desolator or not, they still have the Beastmaster. As long as he has the Necro units available, Roshan will drop very, very quickly. So that's something that Sacred do have to keep their eyes out for. Their Roshan fight is pretty darn good, so paiN Gaming aren't going to be feeling super comfortable going for that right off the bat. But still, they have so many options in this game for paiN, and as long as they still look for these options with the Beastmaster, with the Blink Dagger, and the Sand King, which I think might still be hidden, then they should have the next kind of 5 minutes almost just purely on lock. It does seem like right now paiN are in the driver's seat. They just have to make sure to not make mistakes.
Mid lane. Cancel TP coming out from Masha on the Tinker. As King Tekka continuing to propel his farm, working on a Manta style of his own, but at this point does not feel like he's able to kind of solo carry his team. And they're going to need some contribution from benjaz, who does have quite a bit of gold on the way to his relic. About 3k in his pockets.
Not a bad farm rate considering. I mean, Spectre farming is, let's say, not really comparable to a Luna with Mask of Madness. The two are very, very different as far as farm rate is concerned, but still doing, again, a pretty admirable job. it does feel like paiN are maybe sitting back a little bit too much, at least for my liking. Now they have the Desolator on Lifestealer, so they have, you know, no reason whatsoever to not go for these plays. And it seems like this is going to be one of the more devastating plays that they can make. Smoke up with Tavo, King RD. Of course, they have the Lifestealer in the mix as well. So there's a Blink Burrow Strike waiting for whoever shows their face. Unfortunately, it's just Jakiro for right now. They'll still go for it. Blink Burrow Strike is there. Jakiro is super dead. Burrow Strike looks like it might have been stolen.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's quite a nice kill for paiN Gaming to have if they can get an objective off of this, but I don't really think they can. It's just a Jakiro kill.
Yeah, it's interesting that they took towards the bottom lane. I understood that maybe if they got a bigger kill than that Jakiro, that they felt they could go poke at the tier 3, but I mean, respawn timers are so low at this point in the game. There's no tier 2 in this lane. You can't back off to Roche immediately if you get a kill there. So I definitely agreed with the decision for them to go looking for a fight with the Blink Dagger and the Desolator picked up, but that bottom hemisphere of the map just seemed odd for them to choose as a place to go. There was nothing for them to take off the back of the kill. They will jump into Roche now, but you know, the full lineup from Sacred is up, and they do have the Haunt if they want to contest it.
I don't think they saw paiN go in this necessarily. They're kind of grouped up, and this is like a position you would expect them to smoke up and go for Roche if they actually were interested in this. Either they don't know or they're not interested. Either way, I think it's good for Sacred that they're not going to touch this. So they aren't going to be able to respond to that. Lifestealer is going to grab a regen rune afterwards. Play well, get rewarded, I suppose. And paiN Gaming now, again, have absolutely no reason to not hit the gas as fast as it will go. They'll slide up to the top lane with a tier 1 is looking like it's pretty free pickings. Oh, Tekka, gotta be careful there. Blink Burrow Strike, Roar. It's like nothing's gonna come out in the Mirana. She'll just leap away as per the usual for Miranas in this patch, but this tower is forfeit. Tier 2, most likely forfeit as well, if they decide to really keep going.
Yeah, with the Inner Beast, they should be able to take these structures out with ease. Bottom lane, Masoku putting in a little bit of split push work. We'll Macropyre up the wave. Glyph keeping it safe for now. Gets a Liquid Fire off as well. Radiant do have vision on the high ground. It's going to be eliminated here shortly. And
they're going to consider stalling this top lane.
Arrow? Oh, almost a 5-second one hitting onto the silencer. Maybe have given them the window to go in with the global down. But still, they didn't have their full complement of heroes here as Masoku's bottom lane. Benjaz nearby as well does, of course, have the Haunt. So can, if they see a hero bottom lane, try and take a numbers advantage top. But their tier 1 does ultimately fall here. And now King Tekka being stalked. Bottom lane.
The arrow? No way. A completely blind arrow from Tekka. Nails the Sand King, though he does have a Glimmer. It doesn't seem like there's any detection here. Burrow Strike is going to get him out, also stunning up the puck. Orb forward, but if he does jump forward into this orb, it will be into machines, a lot of them. Yeah, well, they are able to kill off the Jakiro on the bottom lane. Someone was able to do that. Looks like Tavo was able to get in there with the Roar. Puck, though, still playing games, and maybe that's why, because the Sand King disconnected, so it's hard to play the game when you're disconnected, is running the complete wrong direction. He has a coil that can land on 2 right now.
Yes, this could be a little bit disastrous. They haven't used the Haunt yet.
Oh, the arrow's also in flight. Like, it's right there. It looks like it's on the mark.
Yeah, he's silenced with the Waning Rift, and the coil should keep him in position to probably get hit by this arrow. The other thing about it that I was going to mention is that Benjaz is very, well, not very, but 1,000 gold away from a Radiance, so he does not want to die right now, but this seems as perfect an engagement as any for Sacred to take here.
There's a global silence, so I bet Duster's jamming that button. We'll see what comes out first. Looks like the arrow will just miss. King RD does not snap it by Burrow Striking either. And it seems like a half-hearted commitment here from Sacred, not using the Haunt. There's not a lot of mana here. Matthew's going to get his wounds opened up, but has Burrow Strike stolen, so he'll get away at least a little bit. They do Ice Path HFN just for a touch and do pick off the Aegis without really committing anything substantial here. Arrow will once again miss, but here comes the Epicenter onto Tekka. That'll do him in. King RD does not have mana for anything else, but HFN sure as hell does. Open wounds to Masoku, does drop the Rage as well. He'll try to barbecue the creep wave, protect his tower a little bit. There is a Haunt now going towards this bottom lane where Pasha is in a lot of trouble. Gonna get lifted up out of his rearm, doesn't have a blink, doesn't have travels, isn't taking that much damage though. He will blink out to the north, throwing out a couple more missiles. Benjaz though gonna pop some drum charges, and Masha will get picked off in the end. It's a 2-for-1 trade, but losing Tekka is a pretty high cost there for Sacred.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was their highest value hero at the time, but silver lining, I suppose, Benjaz finds a kill. That's going to accelerate his farm closer to that Radiance still. I mean, 26, 27-minute Radiance. You know, not the scariest item pickup, but helps them at least cancel King RD's Blink and the Tinker Blink at the beginning of the fight. So could prove to be very effective, despite not being the ultimate damage tool at this juncture in the game.
This chance not going to be huge in this game. Lifestealer, of course, doing most of his damage while magic immune, but still, it's certainly better than nothing. And as far as farm rate is concerned, will help Benyas at least become somewhat relevant, competitive versus this Lifestealer. Currently, a nice 5k gold ahead of the one position on the other end. So Lifestealer certainly has the time of his life, is going to go for a pretty mixed build here, and Desolator and SMY is going to go to work onto Benjaz. Look at the damage. Is it enough? There's nothing to invest into for the final blow, but the missile is coming in. I don't think it's going to do it. The salve is going to keep the Spectre alive. And now HFN hit with the coil. Starstorm going to do quite a bit of damage as well. Macropire a little bit off the mark as he will jump into Duster. Not exactly the best vehicle, but it is a full health hero, and it will be nobody to fall, actually. Although Tavo and King RD not done just yet. Oh, okay, well, they'll be spotted immediately by an arrow, so it looks like it will, in fact, be no one else to die.
Free farm. Creep comes up, creep goes down. Either way, though, it does feel like this pace favors Sacred. paiN Gaming, they've had kind of, you know, the run of the map, but they've always been more often than not together in groups of at least 2 or 3. So it doesn't feel like they've been kind of using the fact that they have map control to their advantage as far as efficiency goes. And that's why we see, you know, despite it feeling like they should be further ahead, only a 5k lead for paiN at this point. They do have the tower advantage, they do have the vision advantage, but, you know, no real immediate objective to take with the Roche down. And Sacred has bought enough time, at least for Benjaz, to finish up the Radiance now.
Yeah, it's hard to say if that's because paiN are, you know, not really looking aggressively enough for these kills with the Sand King Beastmaster, or it's because Sacred are keeping good vision and just moving in such a way that makes it difficult to get picked off, or at least for relevant heroes to get picked off. Like looking at Puck, he actually is holding on to a 5-kill spree, just hasn't died yet, and by this point, a Puck holding a streak up against this amount of initiation really shouldn't be happening. Like, they have more than enough to kill off a Puck if they land a Burrow Strike on him, but so far that just hasn't been happening. It seems like Masoku's been absorbing every single one of these ganks, and they tried to go for Benyaz, wasn't able to bring him down either, so not really sure what you can attribute to this state of the game, but at any rate, it's still paiN probably not finding quite as much success as they would really like, but still gotta go for these Infest Bombs whenever you can. King RD once again with a pretty ugly payload inside of him. This time on the bottom lane once again, but this time looking for a better hero. Benjaz did poke in. There's a scan though. Oh, there's both 2 scans. Still is gonna wind up the blind epicenter and is gonna find Benjaz with a global silence. That should secure the kill, and it looks like it will. Coil is available, will land onto 2, but that won't do anything. They will interrupt the Tinker on his TP out. Lots of burst damage, but absolutely no follow-up. So they can't get anything done here. That took balls of steel from King RD to make that play to go up the high ground like that, and it worked out pretty darn well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the risk-reward ratio was still pretty good for him there. I don't think they find they find multiple heroes. Meanwhile, though, mid lane, they find the Jakiro with the Roar and the Burrow Strike. They'll bring him down. That's 2 heroes on the sidelines for at least 20 seconds for Sacred side, and they're tier 2, not long for this world. Talked about the Inner Beast and the Desolator from HFN. They're going to have to clear this wave and quick to not take any more damage here. paiN, you know, finally punishing Sacred, or finally making use of this lead that they've accrued, especially on their Lifestealer. And they do get a big kill in Benjaz.
Maybe it was this Blink Dagger on Tavo they were waiting for. Easy way of getting in there, initiating with a hard stun. Along with that, Sand King gives you so many additional options, who has a pipe now, by the way, so magic damage, though it may be pretty high from the Sacred side, is probably not going to be high enough to burst heroes down through the Insight Aura, through the barrier. Is a lot of EHP to grind through there, so paiN it does seem like if they just keep playing like this, should have this game on lock. Just slowly choke out the Sacred side from being able to get really any sort of map presence, keep the Spectre from farming, constantly hunt for kills whenever one hero gets out of position, and it is so damn easy to really do all of that, especially now that Tinker has picked up Kaya. This item is pretty ridiculous on Tinker. Like, you run out of mana really quickly if you're in the fight and you're actually constantly rearming and spamming out your spells, but this mana reduction does quite a bit for you. Top lane, arrow will land. Haunt now coming in. Barrier goes up onto HFN. He'll absorb all the Puck's burst damage. Will turn around, try to go for Benjaz. Is going to infest into a siege creep. First strike in from King. RD is going to land onto the Spectre. Ice Path going to give Benjaz a little bit of cover, but the rest of them are just getting torn apart by the Lifestealer and the Beastmaster. Multiple leaps try to get themselves out of there. Benjaz still very weak. Is not going to get help from the arrow. It's absorbed by the rage from HFN. Another Bro Strike in onto Tekka. Is going to not die with the Manta Style just yet. Orb through from Leo Style is going to coil up too, and they will be able to pick off the Sand King, but they have lost Tekka in the background. It's Masha doing so much damage. There's not enough CC here, although they will lift him out of the TP. Arrow will once again miss just off the mark. Masha going to try to teleport out, I think. No, is not going to be able to get out of there. paiN go really, really far, but end up forcing out a buyback on Tekka and Leo Style, and also break those sprees. So the gold exchange is still huge for paiN.
Yeah, they actually still take a net surplus out of that engagement, getting the 2 buybacks. Well worth it for them. Roche, conveniently, he's available for them to take as well. And MKB completed up for HFN. They also picked up the gem before that engagement on Tavo. So you were talking about choking the Radiant side into their base, so to speak. And that'll be all the more easy to do with the gem in the hands of Tavo's Beastmaster. So yeah, paiN definitely in the driver's seat in this one, and feels like it's going to take some mistakes from their part to really give Sacred an opening to take this 2-0. But for all intents and purposes, this looks like we'll be going to a game 3.
Sacred can just batten down the hatches, rely on the split push of Spectre of a Puck. Unless the Puck dies here, Tavo is going to land the Roar instead onto Tekka. Probably an even better target if they chain stun him properly, and they will. Mirana is going to leap out twice in the Manta Style. Did Ice Frog mess up here? Tekka doesn't go into the trees far enough, though, so he's just dead. Maybe there's a chance to get out of there? I don't really know. But either way, Tekka is down. That is a hero with no buyback. They know about it. Matthew is going to get spotted. Takes a laser to the face. 2 missile salvos coming at him with a third on the way. Never mind, Infest gets the kill. 2 heroes down for paiN, and look at that, Roshan is up. How convenient. That should be a free Aegis cheese for the paiN Gaming side. Not much Sacred can actually do about this. So
if they even want it. 70 seconds plus for the Mirana down. Maybe they know that Leo Style bought back as well as King Tekka the last engagement. So looking at high ground here, at least the tier 3 should be theirs for the taking, at the very least.
Dawn can just be a backup plan for right now. It is going to be tower down on top. Soku does not have a Macropire here. I don't really think it'll do much up against HFN, but at any rate, it's still not there. Rax will be taken on top, barely sustaining any damage. They will fall back and be just fine. paiN gets one step further in this game. Of course, Shrine's now free for the taking, which is going to even further help them take Roshan just by virtue of having that additional map control, whereas Sacred obviously will be missing out on it. This game is really, really tough. I mean, you never really want to count out a late game Spectre, but I don't know how Benjaz gets to the late game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you get to a late game Spectre status from this point on.
Yeah, the Tricore level 21, 21, 22 for paiN Gaming side. Benjaz level 17. I mean, even the Sand King over on paiN Gaming side for King RD is a higher level than Benjaz. So very unlikely to see, any sort of even glimpse of a comeback here for Sacred side, but valiantly so. They'll continue to play on and look to defend their high ground down 1 lane of Rax. It's going to take maybe 4 or 5 teamfight wins for them to actually make this a game, however, with all the tier 2 standing and even a tier 1 in the off lane for the Dire side. Soku bot lane, taking a little bit of damage, does have a TP out.
Soku got picked off a couple times doing this. I mean, his score isn't exactly impressive, but whenever you're shoving lanes like this, as Jakiro, you're kind of alleviating the pressure of the other lanes. You are not worth that much. Looking at his net worth, he only has 2k, so he will die again. But that's exactly why he's doing this, so he can draw attention away from the other lanes so that his friendlies can get stuff done. HFN, Benjaz all gonna run into each other. Arrow is not gonna connect. That was extremely awkward. But everyone's gonna back off just fine. So yeah, Jakiro kind of has to just suicide to push out these waves. It's not a great place to be, but hey, it's better than just straight losing the game.
King Tekka really the only one half capable of doing that for his team, other than the Jakiro and Masoku side that he does have the Manta and a few leaps. But paiN Gaming not looking to give them any sort of opportunity to push out their waves, and they are going to be right down towards the bottom lane as a unit of 5. Still have the Aegis on the Lifestealer for another 3 minutes or so.
Arrow will be eaten by HFN's Rage. He is just going to work, although lots of magic damage. He is working with that Aegis, so he doesn't really care. They will snap the coil on the tanker with the Haunt coming in. Maybe they'll be able to get something done off of this initiation. With the Lifestealer down, there's a chance. Global Silence now is going to drop. Everyone else from Sacred will fall back. King RD eats the cheese, and they will get the roar off onto Tekka. This hero does not have a buyback. Mirana down. Masoku will fall shortly after, and the Spectre has to fall back without really doing all that much of anything. Gets clipped by the Burrow Strike. Is there an open wounds here? In 1 second, there will be. Oh, Benyaz is going to get back to the safety of his fountain. That looked pretty much as good as it was going to be for Sacred, but still not nearly good enough. Now here comes the Epicenter. Was saved from earlier. That is a super dead Rubik. This game, I think, might just be over. Spectre, they can't do anything here. You can't go into this many heroes.
Yeah, no coil available as well. HFN just completely undeterred. Has a Hex as well on the Lifestealer. They're going to force out the buyback from Matthew's Rubik, but still just looking to reset as a unit. King RD has his blink up again in a second. Masha jumping forward is going to drop down the March of the Machines, and will get silenced up. Leo style makes it back to safety. Patient play from paiN, but all seems just, you know, a set of formalities at this point, as this game 2 enters, you know, insurmountable territory for the Radiant.
Spectre has had Radiance and Yasha for seems like forever right now. I don't think Benjaz has been forced to buy back, which is kind of nice, I guess. But as long as your gold isn't being translated to items, it is irrelevant either way. As you said, the Hex on the Lifestealer, just an extra disable, man. An extra disable that has a little bit of range to it. So the Lifestealer is going to be a threat on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
Able to blink Hex initiate with his allies. That is just so silly to think about. He can join in with anyone also, like pretty much the entirety of paiN Gaming have their mobility items. There is no global silence here, but HFN is just such a tank that they don't really have to worry about having all their tools up. Matthew is going to rage, shuffle forward, lift up the Lifestealer, but Force Staff out is going to keep him safe. The Roar is going to go into the Rubik. Not ideal. The Haunt is out as well, but it's not actually doing anything. And now it's gone. So there is all the team fight from Sacred, and I think paiN can just go right back in. Masha with the BKB now active. He's going to jump forward into the base. With BKB, he's kind of okay to do this. Sure, I mean, why not? King RD this time, the blind Epicenter is not going to do anything. Not a single point of damage, and may get punished here? No. Barrier, Insight Aura, too strong, Burrow Strike out, and still alive. All calculated, all planned. paiN Gaming will fall back.
I don't see that going any better for Sacred, but still they don't end up with a single hero kill. Tavo jumps in, uses his BKB when it seemed like a miscommunication. The rest of his team was extracting themselves from the engagement. Then the Tinker, like BKBs, jumps in, tries to kill off any hero he can, waste that sort of duration. They bounce HFN out of the fight early on, so he can't jump in with his Hex and get any work done. Still, though, no hero kills. paiN will just look to turn around and reset. And, it's not really as if Sacred are going to be picking up items off the back of these minor skirmishes. So maybe one time for a desperation play from Sacred. They do have a couple of heroes smoked up, but as that expires, back into the shadow of their well, they will go and jump forward. They're going to find the Benjaz on the Spectre. Burrow Strike is there. A couple of huge right clicks from HFN, the godlike Lifestealer at this point. They will kill off Benjaz. As you mentioned, he does have buyback, hasn't expended it yet. Tavo looking for the puck. He phase shifts out and jaunts to the west. And we'll be able to make it back to safety. So one last stand now for Sacred.
By the way, the Beastmaster does have level 25, so his Inner Beast Aura is absolutely broken right now. So much attack speed. Roar lands onto the Mirana, and look at the damage. She's going to get annihilated. straight off the face of the earth, and HFN, he's running in. Benjaz is going to call it and just leave. He does not want to be a part of this game anymore, and crappy early game laning phase for this Spectre, no farm in the mid game. I don't blame him.
That is just a miserable game through and through for any player. But, you know, paiN Gaming, they had we mentioned at the draft game, they had a much more well-rounded draft. It felt like they had a much more clear strategy in this game as well, was to get an advantage in the lanes and start the push with the Beastmaster, force them into fights once they get the items up, which were, you know, the Sand King Blink and the Lifestealer Desolator. And even though we felt that they were a little bit slow considering the advantage they have, they still were able to pressure the map enough, keep Benjaz down for the entirety of the game, and ultimately take objectives and then the base. Sometimes
all you need is just that one swing lane where you're getting farm and kills on 3 heroes and the enemies are just completely locked out, and it's like an unlosable situation, especially when you have the security from a Tinker map control, Beastmaster map control. It's going to be paiN Gaming, again, putting up a pretty good fight up against Sacred, who were very convincing in that first game. This draft seems like it was just kind of out there, especially with that Spectre last pick. It was a lot to be desired. But at any rate, guys, we're going to a Game 3. I'm Mike Loris. I've been joined by MRP Dota. Don't go anywhere, because these two teams have a score to settle, and you don't want to miss it.